Hello everyone, this is Refresh and I am doing a Hour of Devastation sealed deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack these 6 packs, 4 from Hour of Devastation and 2 from Amonkhet, and build a sealed deck. Ready? Alright, we have an Haven of Enduring Hope, Countervailing Winds, Solitary Camel, Moaning Wall, Ronus' Stalwart, Lethal Sting, Desert of the Indomitable, Seer of the Last Tomorrow, Graven Abomination, Steadfast Sentinel, Doomfall, Resolute Survivors, Desert's Hold, Reason, a Champion of Wits token in the Swamp. We have an Open Fire, a Tragic Lesson, a Sandblast, a Kindled Fury, a Kenra Eternal, a Rampaging Hippo, Life Goes On, Ruin Rats, Granitic Titan, Desert of the Fervent, Ipnu Rivulet, Vizier of the True, Vizier of the Anointed, Hostile Desert, Plains and a Cat token. From Amonkhet, we have Countervailing Winds, Sandblast again, Kindled Fury again, another Moaning Wall, Bitterbow Sharpshooters, Torment of Venom, Desert of the Indomitable, Seer of the Last Tomorrow, Graven Abomination, Hope Tender, Ipnu Rivulet, Liliana's Defeat, Champion of Wits, Rampaging Hippo, Shiny, Swamp and a Cat token. The last Hour of Devastation pack will have Haven of Enduring Hope, Countervailing Winds, Solitary Camel, Torment of Venom, Sidewinder Naga, Without Weakness, Cunning Survivor, Traveler's Amulet, Survivor's Encampment, Supreme Will, Dunes of the Dead, Vile Manifestation, Ramanap Hydra, Hour of Revelation in Shiny mode, Swamp and a Zombie token. Now we're going to the Amonkhet packs. We've got a Fanbearer, Wander in Death, a Greater Sandworm, an Urashra Cultivator, Electrify, Painful Lesson, Slitherblade, Innoketra's Name, Gustwalker, Labyrinth Guardian, Trial of Zeal, a Decimator Beetle, a Dusk to Dawn, a Shiny Miasmic Mummy, a Plains and a Sacred Cat. Gets us a Seeker of Insight, a Fling, an Anointed Priest, a Hieroglyphic Illumination, a Miasmic Mummy, a Giant Spider, an Evolving Wilds, a River Serpent, a Compulsory Rest, a Sun-Scorched Desert, a Cryptic Serpent, a Faith of the Devoted, a Stir the Sands, Oracle's Vault, an Island, Full Art, and a Zombie. Alright, so just taking a look at this, it's pretty clear that red is kind of out unless I want to combine it with red and white, because there's just not a lot of cards in it. So it's either a splash or it's out. Let's take a look at the different colors and see which are strongest. Alright, with white, removal is good. Anointed Priest is okay. Dusk is also a board wipe, so it's pretty good. Gustwalker works well with Dusk, it's kind of evasive. Innoketra's Name is just okay, because it mostly just affects zombies. Fanbearer is decent removal-ish type creature. We have another board wipe in Hour of Revelation, although it's a hard to cast one. Solitary Camel is just okay, works best with deserts. Haven of Enduring Hope is not bad as far as a finisher goes. Sandblast is also removal. Vizier of the True is pretty good at getting in. I'll say it's just a little bit below those. Sandblast again, so even more removal. Desert's Hold, even more removal. Steadfast Sentinel, which is just okay. Solitary Camel, again just okay. Another Haven of Enduring Hope. So I feel like white is actually a pretty good color. There's a lot of removal, there are a bunch of Wraths, and some decent creatures to fill out the curve. Not much in the way of tricks, but I would say that this is definitely a contender for one of the colors that we're going to be playing. White, if paired with red, also gets Resolute Survivors, which is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad either. 3 for 3/3 is pretty good, and its Exert trigger is just okay. But we would have to pair it with red, which is kind of shallow in terms of creatures. Alright, let's take a look at blue. Cryptic Serpent could be okay if there's enough spells. River Serpent is okay later in the game. So these are kind of defensive end level creatures. Hieroglyphic Illumination is decent card draw. Seeker of Insight is also decent filtering. Sometimes it only works if you cast a spell, so I would say it's less good than real card draw. Labyrinth Guardian is a decent overcosted body. Slither Blade is pretty bad. Supreme Will is okay. It can counter or it can look for the card you need, so I would say that's a decent play. Cunning Survivor is only good if there's a lot of cycling. There's not a lot of cycling so far, so I'll put it below most of this. Countervailing Winds is a moderate counter, but it can cycle, which makes it better than nothing. So just the fact that it has cycling. Champion of Wits is pretty good just because it lets you filter, and then it comes back as a really big card draw spell. So I would say that's a good reason to play blue. New Rivulet it's a potential mill win if you need to. And then Seer of Last Tomorrow is also part of the mill plan. I don't think it's something that's worth playing. Countervailing Winds again. Vizier the Anointed lets you draw a card as long as you have Embalm or Eternalize abilities. And there are a few cards, so it might be worth considering. And then otherwise it's just a decent blocker. But drawing a card off of Eternalizing and Embalm is not bad, so I think this is a maybe. Certainly better than Seeker of Insight. Okay, another New Rivulet. A Tragic Lesson is a decent draw card. Seer of the Last Tomorrow again, so I could really hit the mill as a secondary plan. Another Countervailing Winds. I have a lot of Countervailing Winds as well. Blue's looking okay. There's some good card draw here, as well as the Vizier of the Anointed, which it works really well if I have a lot of Embalm or Eternalize effects. So that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, it's a fairly defensive color, but there's a lot of options in it. So keeping it in mind, looking at black, Stir the Sand is a pretty good deal. Faith of the Devoted is only good if I have enough cycling or discard effects. Miasmic Mummy is one of those discard effects, but probably only good as one of those effects. Drawing cards is good, probably better than any of these other cards. Wander in Death is kind of like drawing cards. Vile Manifestation is probably only good if in that same cycling or discard deck, so that's all part of the same thing. Without Weakness is a combat trick that can cycle, so I guess it's more of the same thing. Torment of Venom is just pure removal. It's good. Liliana's Defeat is a sideboard card. Torment of Venom is, again, pure removal. Moaning Wall is a bad defender. Again, it's another part of this cycling deck. I'd probably only cycle it. Ruin Rat is pretty good for a defensive creature. Kenra Eternal is the first attacker of this bunch, and it's not a great one. Doomfall isn't bad. The two modes make it a little better than it might be. Lethal Sting is another piece of removal, and there's Moaning Wall. So it looks like there is some weird cycling deck here with several cards that can cycle. If there are enough other cycling cards, then it might be actually worth thinking about playing black just for this Faith of the Devoted business and the removal, which is also quite good. But I don't know if that's enough to make me want to play it. So again, it's a secondary color that has some potential, so let's keep that in mind. Again, red, there's not much to red. You don't have much in the way of creatures. There's some removal in the Trial of Zeal and the Electrify. Combat Trick, a random desert. Granitic Titan is a cyclable threat, but I don't think any of this, and an Open Fire. So there's decent removal here, but black and white both have better removal and better creatures. Or creatures in general, where this has the Granitic Titan as the only creature. So I think red is out, just because of the lack of options. Just so you know, if we were to play blue, we could play Reason as an option, and then Reason is okay, but there's nothing that you really want to cheat into battle. Decimator Beetle is good if I have the -1/-1 counter between black and green. So let's see what we have in green. A Giant Spider is decent on the back. The Oasher Cultivator is a blocker that can get lands, but it's not exciting. Greatest Handworm is a threat that can end the game. Ramunap Hydra is a threat that can end the game. Sidewinder Naga is good if you have deserts. Rampaging Hippo is a cycler that can also end the game. So we have a lot of good threats so far. And Ramp. Desert, which is good for decks that need deserts, like white needs deserts but has no deserts. Bitterbow Sharpshooters is a pretty good attack and defense card. Life Goes On is kind of useless. Rampaging Hippo, again, it can be cycled, which is pretty good. Another Desert of the Indomitable, which are also good because they can be cycled. And Aronis the Stalwart, which is a good aggro creature. It looks like green actually does have some pretty good options here, especially if you can get a desert in. And just being able to cycle all the big threats makes them easier to play because it just costs 2 to cycle if they're too big to play. So this is actually something that is reasonable to do. And it works well with both black and with white because of black's ability to get creatures back from the graveyard with Wander Death, so you can just cycle and then pull them back. And white, because it's got removal, wraths, and then it plays well with white just because the creatures kind of fill in the same sort of space as the white creatures, plus the deserts. The two deserts in there really help with white's need for deserts. This is a card that's kind of slow, but it's card draw, so it's probably worth playing, even though it's slow, just because sealed is a slow format. Sunscorched Desert is just a desert. It's best in, I think, Evolving Wilds gets played because it is a fixer. Dunes of the Dead is only good if I can sacrifice deserts. I would only do it if I was playing with the Ipnu Rivulets and I wanted to mill out my opponent. Survivor's Encampment is a potential color fixer and desert, so I think I would probably want to play that as well. Traveler's Amulet is a maybe, only if I need to fix because I'm playing 3 colors. Graven of Abominations are not that great. I think they're sideboard material if I need to get them in. I think Hostile Desert's also worth playing just because it can be an attacker once in a while, but only if I'm playing, again, with a means of sacrificing deserts. So it's a maybe. I guess if I cycle those deserts, it can be something too. So let's keep that as a maybe. Graven of Abominations, again, a maybe. So I think the most of my power in this deck actually comes between green and white. I think they synergize pretty well together. So I'm going to take a look at the curve to see if it actually makes for a decent deck. And that means that these 2 cards are out. But I'm going to keep it as an option in case the curve doesn't work out and I want to bring in black. I think with the amount of removal that black and white are offering, and there's relative synergy with green as opposed to blue, it makes it best to pair one of these 2 with green. So let's put blue away for now, and we'll come back if I decide that it's a little better because of all of its options. Alright, board wipe. Our Revelation is another board wipe. These are 2 ways of turning the game around and getting advantage. We have removals, even more removal. Fanbearer is also removal. Gustwalker's a beater. We have ways of winning the game. Vizier of the True, which is not a bad creature. It's also an okay creature. Okay creature, these guys are okay. And Innocaptor's Name is not good because it needs to be zombies to be particularly good. Alright, and now green. These 2 at the top. This is really good with deserts. Ronus the Stalwart, Greater Sandworm, Nega, Giant Spider, Hope Tender, which isn't great, but it's a 2/2 even. Cultivator, 2 deserts, and I'm not playing Life Goes On. So this would be the deck. It looks like it's actually something that could be done here. There's potential for ramp, which could get us up into here. I'll put this out here. We're going to be playing these 2 at least. And I don't think we'll play Hostile Desert or the Sunscorched Desert. I don't think we need deserts that much. There are 4 creatures that demand them. They just get better with deserts, but they're okay even without. So I think we play without these deserts and just use these. Let's make some cuts. We have 3, 6, 10, 13, 17, 19 creatures, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 spells. So we just need to make 3 cuts. I think we keep all the removal, the card draw, these 2. Ability to get my creatures back is actually pretty good. Power 2 or less also means that I get back the Steadfast Sentinel, the Giant Spider, Winona Priest, Gustwalker, Ronus the Stalwart, Hope Tender, a Washra Cultivator, Fanbearer. So that's all a possible way of getting a bunch of creatures back. I think it's too good not to play, especially if I can slow roll. Our Revelation is a way just to clear the board, so we'll put it up as well. We just cut 3 creatures. I like the idea of ramping with the Cultivator and the Hope Tender. I feel like the Anointed Priest is perhaps the weakest of this bunch because we don't really have much in the way of getting token creatures under my control, aside from the Anointed Priest itself, and then the Steadfast Sentinel. So I think we remove the Anointed Priest. Rampaging Hippos and the Greatest Sandworm are curve toppers, but they can all be cycled. I think if we want to drop a couple more cards, I can drop one of the 5-drop Avens. I guess of all the creatures, of these creatures, a Washra Cultivator is probably the least useful because I don't need ramp that badly to put a creature that does nothing otherwise. So there's my 23, and then I need 17 lands, of which I have 4 covered right now. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 16 white symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 12 green symbols. We need 13 more lands. We've got 2 green symbols covered here. So I would say we get 8 plains and 5 forests to split just a little bit more towards the white. And then the Evolving Wilds and Survivors Encampment can sort of fix the rest. Alright, 8 plains and 5 forests make for a complete deck. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Keep a lookout for the next video where I will build the successor to this deck. And then keep a lookout for further videos where they're going to battle each other and battle the challenge decks from Theros. Until then, this was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.